Hello.
Hello.
I'm back after a week gone.
He's back from Spain. He made it. You made it. I'm excited to hear all about it. I've not heard all the little details and all the but come on, man.
I didn't get to because I had a big presentation I had to do. So when we arrived Sunday morning, there was a little bit of downtime that some people used to kind of walk around, and I had to use it to set up. So I didn't get to do much, but it was right on the Mediterranean. It was cold there, colder than it is here in North Carolina, but it was very weird. You saw everything from people in like parkas to people running around in Speedos and like diving in the water. And my favorite thing was some guy doing like gymnastics. There was like almost like monkey. I've seen these somewhere too. I don't know what they're called, but they're like monkey bar like setups for like exercising. Yeah, you can do different kind of things, like push-ups on them. And there was a guy on there that was just doing these like spinning like dismounts that you would see like dismounts off of like doing a vault or something. So it was bizarre. The food was fantastic. The food was fantastic. I watched the Anthony Bourdain Spain one right before we went, just to get kind of an idea of like what should I try, and it was the food was fantastic.
That's so cool.
We got to eat in this old like castle like place, so that was really cool. And then got to tour that. I'll have to share the picture. They took a picture now for my retirement, which will be far off yet, but there was a statue, and one guy made a joke and goes, "There's Matt Slozer." And they're like, come down, and I'm like, pose with it. So I put my head making the same expression next to it, and
that's so much fun.
People think I look like. Oh, my wife trolled it right away and said, "Yeah, but that guy's got hair."
So hair is but hair. That's really awesome. I think that is so cool, and I am excited to see all the pictures. I've not been to Spain. That's on my bucket list for sure.
It was cool.
Super cool.
I would go back. Cool. So I've only been to 2 countries in Europe, and they're kind of not ones you commonly hear people go to. So Finland and Spain. I spent a ton of time in Finland and love both those countries.
Oh, it's so cool.
I actually like Europe.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of, probably because of my job, I'm a big fan of get out and see many places and meet many people. And the more people you meet from different places, you'll realize we're all pretty much the same. And folks that play that whole tribalism, us against them, do it because they want power. And
and just kind of that lack of
understanding. I saw complaining about the guy talking, but that's one of the reasons why I absolutely hated the guy that came ahead of time. I thought he was poster boy for tribalism.
Yeah. Being able to travel and get out is really important. It really is. Everybody in the chat room is having such a good time already, and it's so good to see you guys. Pepper, Dolly, Heather, Mary, Katie, all of you guys, Brandy, John, Matt, Meyer, everyone from all over the world. Be sure and share this with a friend or tag someone. Who did I miss?
10:04. I think that's when Katie's saying 10:04. She said there was an EVP. We had a guest voice.
Oh, did we?
Which I know my house is quiet, so it wasn't a human on my side. So I'll have to listen to this.
Oh, and then we have Mary, who's a listener frequently, saying, man, that she would like to ask for some prayers and positive energy for her youngest grandson, who is struggling with a bacterial intestinal infection. Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. Sending prayers our way. And Pepper says her eyeballs are burning from studying, and just, everybody, this full moon has been quite a jam. Quite a good reflection. I think the full moon in Leo, but then also the astrology lining up with some really crazy times in the early 1930s, and just transition spaces, ego, self-reflection, pride, what is important to all of those things. And you guys, if you joined us and are joining us frequently, we missed Matt last week, and it was really weird not having you. And it was strange, and I'm glad to have you back because I went back and did some more studying. I filled in some gaps. I think we've got some weird stuff happening in February. After all, the more I look at it, I'm kind of a little nervous. So I'm excited to have you here to help walk us through some of the crazy.
And I talked on Sunday. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm fine, but I'm sneezing a lot. So I apologize if I sneeze on the show.
Sneeze. Well, I joined a few people yesterday on kind of a preparation for the show, and I have my notes on the things that I saw and felt for these movements to prep for the show tonight. And so for those of you joining us for maybe the first time or frequently, get your piece of paper out and put down a dot. Put a dot down for Wednesday, February 8th, and let's walk through the week ahead. Are you ready, Steph? Are you ready, Matt? Are you ready, Mary?
Absolutely.
Katie? Let's do this. Let's take a sip. Hold on. Feed the spirits. Okay, here we go.
How cold is it there?
It's 31 today. We actually had a huge heat wave. It was in the negative 14s and negative 22s just yesterday. And then it jumped to 31 today.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of weird. Stuff was
I know that's warm for you guys. We're supposed to get an early spring here. It's like going to be like in the 60s for like the next 10 days. Or close to it.
I'm going to be hopefully, fingers crossed, my brakes just recently, like the light came on, it started doing weird things, but I got to drive to Kansas City in that vehicle this weekend. And I'll get there. And I'm really hoping that when I get there, it's nice enough weather that I can open the car doors and like prop it up a little bit and take a look at it, maybe see what we can do. Okay, Steph said she's ready. We're ready.
Let's do it.
We are ready. Okay, so let's do it. The only dot we need to add for Wednesday tomorrow for hump day is okay. And this is weird stuff, you guys. So there's not a whole lot of movement here. I might even try and be tech savvy with the screenshots and share some of the planetary movement so you see what I'm talking about when I'm trying to explain this.
Yep.
But this is going to be what happens for Wednesday. We have Venus in Pisces with Neptune. So Neptune in Pisces and Venus in Pisces in the same constellation opposite the waning moon in Virgo. So it's my time to shine, Virgo, moon in Virgo, because my moon is in Virgo. But the moon will actually be in Virgo. But they're both opposite that Neptune. I hate Neptune in Pisces. But Venus in Pisces specifically. How do you feel and what do you see for that? I know
you hate Neptune and Pisces, but just think about this because Neptune
just continued crazy.
Stays for so long. Don't you think Neptune in Aries is going to be worse?
Oh my God. It's going to be
delusion combined with impulsive, not very well thought through action.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's going to be.
We're going to have like 2 decades of
drug my nails into
two decades of bad decisions.
Yes.
Combined with Pluto and Aquarius. So this is just going to be,
Get ready.
I'm not ready. Well, anyway, let's take these one at a time. Let's take
one at a time. So just tomorrow.
So Venus in Pisces, I view this as it can also be money. I like to talk more about the romantic stuff, but so this can be introspective. It can be kind of, there's a sacrificial energy to Pisces, kind of that take one for the team. So I view this as almost like a romantic thing of I have feelings for person X, but I'm willing to leave this behind because they're in a better place with person Y kind of thing. If you think of those like romance movies where the one potential partner walks away.
My best friend's wedding or something.
Yeah, that kind, I get that kind of vibe with this. There's also that kind of tying into Neptune. So I guess I am combining them anyway. And then Neptune, you have the deceptive, not deceptive, but I say it's like foggy. What you see isn't what reality is. So you can kind of like fool yourself. That combined with the romance can be misreading situations as being romantic when they really aren't, or misreading situations that actually are romantic and you're just not getting it. And then opposite is tension. So that has tension with your emotions, and Virgo is detail, detail, detail. So I kind of interpret this. I'm sorry, guys. I always like talk out how I analyze this. I see this as emotionally wanting clarity on a situation, possibly romantic or financial, and just because of the fogginess of it, you're just not getting the details to make you feel comfortable. So there's this tension of, I need more information before I know what I'm going to do, and you're not going to get the information.
I love adding this to the alchemy of what people can expect, both in a sociological space and in a psychological space, to see how we are going to feel. And this is a really good indication that, gosh, we might be feeling really excited about, like, say, for example, myself, I keep thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to go get some spices. I'm going to be able to go to those places I want to go, get the food I want to eat, do all these things. I can't. I'm not going to be able to do all those things. I'm going to be there for a whole freaking 24 hours. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to, there's going to be disappointment. But in my heart, there's a lot of excitement. And, I'm very sensual. And when I travel, I want to eat all the food and see all the things and do all the stuff. And when I don't, I feel disappointed. And so knowing this, that Venus, vagina, feelings, I always think of the money, gosh, I'd love to have just, $1,000 to feel like, well, if something happens, I'm good to go. And if I want to take my dad out to dinner, I can do it and not feel like there's a dent or anything. Right. And, it's not going to be that way. You can just already tell the universe is going to have other plans, it's just one of those, it's going to be foggy. So don't misread, don't overplan, don't get crazy. Though the Virgo in me would like to know all the things and exactly how much money and what's gas going to be on Friday and what's the weather going to be like. And can I be sure? And are my brakes going to make it? Listen, we can't be certain. And it's not just going to be that way for me. It's going to be that way for everyone around me. For you.
Which is funny. First of all, I just want to say thanks to Steve. Steve made a very nice compliment to the show, so I wanted to just call that out.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
I find it funny because it even plays out when we talk show stuff of Virgo energy versus Cap energy. Since you have a lot of Virgo and I have a lot of Cap, you need to want all the details.
All of them.
And once I get, if I get like 30-40% of the situation, like I'm ready to go, and I'll figure it out as we go.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
That is just not enough.
I know it's all cool, but I always find it interesting. It even plays out in some of our show conversations and things.
It plays out in a lot of our conversations.
Even the way we do this, all your stuff's written down and I'm winging it.
Right. Write it all down, got it all planned out. I see that this is going to happen. In that alchemy space, for those of you guys who do join us on social media, I post them daily. And this is that self-reinvention. There's still some heart and head stuff going on. You used a word that I had written in my own personal notes, which was fog. When I think of the emotion in the air, it's very, very important. That's, like, what is she saying exactly? Like, you don't know, but it's like very emotional and loud and dramatic and like, and people feel very moved and like know the song, but like, what is she really saying? So just, sorry, that was my best analogy I could think of.
That's good.
So just that desire for clarity, you may not get it. Okay, guys, let's do Thursday, February 9th. I only have one dot going down, but boy, is it a dot to put down.
That'd be Pluto then. That's my guess. It's a Pluto one. Pluto ones are always big, guys.
Tell the people. Okay. So this is Thursday, and it's a waning moon trine Pluto. And it's Venus and Neptune and Pisces again. But that waning moon, Pluto is like right on the edge on that day. It is right on the edge of Capricorn, like almost in Aquarius. It could like spit on Aquarius, but it's going to
move into Aquarius soon. And I say, look for some big revolutionary thing to happen on that day. I don't know exactly which day that is anymore.
This is Thursday.
Prediction show. No, when it actually moves.
Oh.
It's going to move, and then it's going to go retrograde and move back. And when it goes retrograde and moves back, all those people it's like a little rebellion, and we take over. Like, hooray, hooray! And then the other people in charge come back and kill everybody. Exactly. That's the kind of stuff that's going to happen. So keep that in mind. Don't get on board with any revolutionary crap that happens when Pluto goes into Aquarius, because it's all going to get snapped back. Anyway, I'm digressing here. So first. So the moon's still in Virgo. Yeah. So trying Pluto. Pluto's big, profound, big changes. Capricorn, impersonal, achievement oriented. That trine is synergy. So again, the moon energies, because it goes quick. So Pluto's big. The moon energies are much smaller. So I still think this is going to be details related to some big changes that are coming. So I'll say devil's in the details on Thursday. pay attention to little things that could be hints as to what's coming. Pluto may be dropping some hints as to the big crap that's going to happen.
Talk about your show this last Sunday on an omen, on a sign, on something coming, on a harbinger.
Mothman. All right, so then what's with Venus and Neptune and Pisces?
Venus and Neptune and Pisces.
Are they conjunct?
I don't know. I'm sorry, Matt, that I'm a failure in this because it's one of these. I almost want to, and this is where I will try for those of you joining us. This is something I don't do very often. But I'm gonna. Do I want to do this? Gosh, I'm so scared. Do I share my screen? Is that how I do that?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
It'll work better if you have two monitors up, though.
Oh, well, I don't because I am not cool.
You still might be able to see.
Okay, so if I do this, but then I do this, what does that look like to you?
Let me see. Let me try it.
Does that look like something, everybody?
There we go.
I'm afraid to
All right, take down this. There we go.
Okay. So this is like what I'm looking at when I'm looking at that 7th. And so for anybody joining us, you've got Mercury and Pluto right here. You've got the sun, you've got Saturn, Venus, and Neptune over here in Pisces, Jupiter, Uranus over here, Mars over here. And when we're talking about that moon, she's over here.
Right. So this is easy to say then. Well, they're not going to see my cursor, but I don't think you'll see my cursor.
And
but
so from Virgo as well.
Opposite then is obviously on the same line across from each other. When we talk about conjunct, they're right in like this. Which one is it? Is that a asteroid? I can't see. Oh, no, that's just the Pisces sign. So if the Pisces sign was a planet, Venus and this Pisces sign would be conjunct. They're over top of each other.
Oh.
That is the strongest. That is the strongest because that is
because they're on the same frequency.
You're combining the energies. Whereas when they're opposite of each other, just think of like a tug of war. You're getting that pull between the two. Then you get into these other ones like trine and square. It's all kind of angles around this pie. But the opposite and conjunct is really easy to show from this. So,
okay. Yeah. So that's kind of just to kind of show that a little bit, Dolly. And thank you for your patience, guys, on that. That helps me understand that, to see it visually and to know that, because I see the whole like galaxy spread when I'm looking at that just plane, that 2D plane. It's like looking at a harp or the strings of some instrument that go out. And if it's conjunct, they would be plucking the same string, So
all it is really the geometry of a circle and looking at the angles. And so when all the different planets move, when they get to exact angles away from each other, those are the different aspects. So square is 90, opposites 180, conjunct is on top of each other. And then I'm going to mess up the I feel like I'm going to mess up the trine and the sextile. I feel like I'm going to mess up. But anyway.
No. What I'm going to go back to, though, is I'm going to adjust in that. So then Thursday is a waning moon in Virgo, trine a Pluto in Capricorn, and it's opposite Venus and Neptune in Pisces. So that kind of gets, like a big mouthful. It gets pretty complicated. But to understand where and how that's working, man, there's going to be some conviction, some grounding work would be really great. Active participation is the name of the game on that day. Those are kind of the notes that, choosing to play the game, love, war, and business are made of the ability to have the willingness to change.
That's why the other thing to keep in mind is that this is getting a little advanced, but when we talk about these things happening on these days, those aspects stay longer with the slower moving planets. So, like Mercury and the moon, when we talk about those aspects, that's why I say they're not as strong because they're moving so fast. They might only be in that window of that angle really short. But if you have like a Neptune and Pluto, they move so slow. So if they're in an aspect with each other, that can last for months and months and months or even, like a Saturn or Uranus, because they move much slower. So that aspect stays in play for a much longer time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Another reason why I say like Pluto aspects tend to be bigger because it moves slower. So when there's a change, whereas the moon moves really fast. So it's more fleeting.
Yeah, the moon is moving just because it's closer to us and we're able to see the kind of those movements. Okay, so man, everybody in the chat room is really sharing that visual was a big help. So maybe I'll do that more frequently if I can. I've got it pulled up. Matt and I both have it in our chat availability. So 2 dots are going to happen on Friday, guys. Friday, February 10th. And don't forget, if you want to partake in our special, our compatibility special, guys, Matt and I are doing a reading for Valentine's Day special. They're usually 111. All of our mutual stuff we do is 111. That way we can split it and still pay PayPal and all the jams. But for $88, so that's on special for Valentine's Day. If you want to do a compatibility reading, we split that and the two of us send over our, interpretations of you and your special partner's sign. And we'd love to offer that to you guys. So don't forget to check that out and send over your stuff. But for Friday, 2 dots are going to happen. First one, boom, waning moon in Libra with that Ceres little thing, retrograde, whatever that matters, opposite Aries and Chiron, opposite Jupiter and Aries.
Now you're putting me. This is where like my lack of prep puts me on the spot because
this is where
I'm
going to share.
I don't deal with the asteroids very often.
I don't either.
So I know there are some folks in the chat. I don't know if they're in tonight that work with these more than I do. So I am not. I would prefer to be silent than to give you guys bad information. So not knowing off the top of my head and remembering what some of these are. I want to say Chiron, though, is the healer, if I remember right. The one that's like the wound.
It is. It's your Achilles heel.
I've done series I have not done with anything in a long time. Chiron I do some things with. So, the healer.
So now look at this. So then this is that visual space again. So you guys to see them kind of battling off when you had mentioned that tug of war. Man, you've got these two almost conjunct. Now we know these two things on top of each other in Libra. And the moon. All this, there's 3 things here kind of colliding in the same space in Libra. And that it's fighting opposite Aries.
But
so Libra and Aries.
But when we say when we say there's an aspect, it's when those angles, because you see those pieces of pie are pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
It's when and there's different cutoffs. It's like 10 degrees for some, and it's like when they're in a certain degree of each other. Like even just eyeballing this, I don't think they're in the opposite angle right now. I think they're still too far off.
You do.
But what I will say here is, if you notice, this is why when we talk about the different, and this gets in a little bit into the compatibility, when we talk about opposites and signs, this is where there's tension. If you look at how you describe it.
Sorry.
So, okay. If you look at how the opposite signs go, there's tension in their differences, but they also kind of complete each other. So if you look at Libra and Aries is impulsive, aggressive, gets things done, kind of doesn't give a crap if it stirs the pot. Libra is balanced, diplomatic, indecisive, likes things nice. So when you look at those two, they're tension because they're very, very opposite, but they actually put them together and it's kind of like they balance each other out as well. Yeah, Steph, there's different ones. Like I might have it backwards. The stronger aspects they give, and it also depends on your source. Different sources use different cutoffs. But I think like conjunct gives the biggest. You have like the widest range of degrees when they're within each other that it goes.
That would make sense.
Honestly, when I do my readings, even for these, the predictions and everything, I pretty much lock in only on like these when it's exact. When it's 0 degrees, that's when I look for the thing to happen. But the influence is broader. There's kind of like a waxing, just like the moon, a waxing and waning period of that energy. So it's another way to think about this. Like some of these things may happen. We may say Thursday, look for this. It might happen early Friday morning, but it's just, that energy is a little broader.
It's like a vibration. I see it like a ripple.
Yeah.
I really do. I see it like a vibration or a ripple. Ooh, so this is exciting. So then this is just Friday morning where you have the moon kind of fighting with Jupiter. You've got Libra fighting with Aries. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that. And then, man, I'm going to pull up that thing again because why I put this down. This, you guys will notice this is a little different than usual because I went back and was like, there's no real movements happening. There aren't any real movements happening.
I'll use this as a little bit of an explanation here too. So then the ones that are at 90-degree angles to these two are square. They don't balance each other out. They're conflicts. So I'll use Capricorn and Cancer with Aries. So you think Cancer wants stability, their home, protection. Aries blowing down doors and things like that. It's going to have a lot of tension and a lot of conflict with what Cancer wants. Think of Capricorn, same thing. Capricorn's making these big strategic plans. And if Aries is on their team, they're getting everything planned. And then Aries like runs out the door and like, gives everything away and messes the whole plan up. So it's there's more conflict with the signs that are square to each other.
That makes sense. Now I have a whole 20-page document that breaks down every single day, every single aspect, every single degrees. If you are an advanced astrologer and you want that, I'll send it to you for free. I use it for my notes when Matt and I are working together to collaborate on our readings and things. And for me to just fight my own skepticism when I'm doing predictions and stuff for social work. But this is what's going to happen Friday night. And as you can see, it's so broad because that was what I was doing when I did the notes, that there's a Mercury, Mars, Pluto alignment. So what did I mean by that? So let me go back to that sharing of my screen where I share it and I go back to the day. Mercury, Pluto over here, they're like almost exactly on top of each other on Friday night.
I'm actually pulling up. So if you see me looking kind of funny, I'm actually not looking at the camera right now. I'm pulling something up.
And keep so talking. Knowing that you've got, over here and Pluto and Mercury getting ready to kind of head over that direction, and Mars and Gemini pretty heavy, just like solid on that spot. So it talked about in the Farmer's Almanac that Mars being in Gemini, that there is this overwhelming battle cry to be two-faced, to be pulled in two different directions, that I need to be here and I need to be there. And this feeling of desire and passion and really needing to know the difference and talking about the difference as Gemini wants to do. And then you've got Pluto on top of Mercury. So like real discussions of what are like life moves, career plans. I think about for myself, I've been talking a lot with like FAFSA and where my licensure and things of that nature and stuff that I've got to commit to and make plans to, sign contracts for years and stuff. And that's talking about life decisions. Pluto and Mercury together in that space kind of aligned in the how do you think that this is going to all come together on Friday?
I think the big hint on this one is it goes along with what I said earlier. I think this is a week where you're going to get small details and small hints as to where the big Pluto changes are coming. So, before it was kind of Virgo, look at the details. Now this one, because it's Mercury, look for some communications. But yeah, Pluto's getting ready to switch. And when Pluto shifts, big things happen. When Pluto moved into Capricorn, which is all achievement money, that was the housing crash in 2008 in the Great Recession. So yeah, it tends to be big stuff when it moves. I'd have to go back and look. Now I'm curious. I'm going to go back and look as to the exact months when it's moved in the past and see what exactly happened. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were like major things on the world stage when it so, yeah, I'd look for something. This is the little one. This isn't my family's home. But because it's going to go back again, this isn't going to be the big one. This will be like the moving into Aquarius is going to be like the temporary shift.
Okay.
And keep talking. I'll mute myself because my pack of dogs gets annoying.
Okay, man, this is just kind of crazy. So I'm adding some of those additions that Matt adds for me to that Excel spreadsheet that goes out to all of my Gypsy Tribe members. Now for Saturday, February 11th, I had blues music playing, just immediately switched over. It's like my Pandora went from a completely different space to George Thorogood. It went to a really interesting space. This is Saturday, February 11th, where I would put down 1, 2, 3. No, 2 or 3, because I don't know what I'm doing half the time with this. And I missed you last week when I was setting this up. So you can see I'm a little lost. The first one, let's put it down. And this is going to be Saturday AM. And that is that Mercury enters Aquarius. It crosses over that Pluto path that we just looked at. And Mercury officially enters into Aquarius on Saturday morning. So how do you feel about that?
So there probably was somewhere in this Mercury conjunct Pluto, which again I would just say is what we said earlier. That's going to be the hints as to what's the verbal things as to what's coming. So really pay attention. This is a week where I don't think the theme's kind of setting up. I don't think there's going to be a lot of big newsworthy actions that happen, but there's going to be newsworthy things that come out that are going to give you hints as to what's coming, like almost like the old newspaper thing where it's like buried on the on page 8 and stuff like that. So look, because I think things are going to come out. So when Mercury gets into Aquarius, there's going to be more. This is more vert thoughts and communication, and Aquarius is all about innovating, shaking things up, making things change. So look for things on Saturday. Things like to get buried on the weekend news wise too. So look for things that might break on Saturday of some type of change that's coming. And I have a feeling that will be aligned with the Pluto change. So a little change that gets communicated on Saturday could be a hint to a much bigger change.
It is going to be. But
remember, that big change is going to snap back. Pluto's going to go back into Capricorn, and it's going to be like, dad coming home early and crashing the party that the teenager had because he thought his parents were away for the weekend. It's going to get all hell's going to break loose when Pluto snaps back.
Okay. Now, okay. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I see what's happening. So then you've got...
I'm sorry. What's a good example? This is brutal, but what's a good example of Pluto going to Aquarius, snapping back to Capricorn? And I know this is going to age me, but some of you will know this or at least look it up. In China, around the time the Soviet Union fell, there were all these protests in Tiananmen Square and just flags, and it was peace, love, joy. It looked like this all wonderful thing. And then a couple of days into it, like the government was like, screw this. And they rolled tanks and like killed a whole bunch of people. Good. But at the time, if you weren't around at the time, it looked like this, like, China's going to get reformed. Like it looked all positive and it was all like warm and fuzzy. And then they just stepped in and like crushed them all. That's kind of the Capricorn snapback.
Okay. The Capricorn snapback. I like it that we're kind of calling it that. I'm gonna, my cheeks are hurting a little bit as I grin.
I hated to hop in here. I just want to say again, that's why I'm saying don't like put all your money or like if you see some big change coming around the time of this, like Pluto and Aquarius, it's temporary. There's going to be a massive pushback. So
it's this weekend. It's this weekend. Boom. Saturday afternoon. The moon and Libra trine Saturn and Mercury in Aquarius. So they trine each other and like another little ripple. You have another little ripple here that just says what? Feelings of fairness. This isn't fair. Life isn't fair. I feel like
diplomacy. Libra is very diplomatic. So, maybe somebody that's not getting along with somebody else, maybe talking about changing some rules to change things for the future. So yeah, really pay attention to communications this week on Saturday.
Yeah, big time.
I see that as some kind of overture. And for some reason, I don't think it's going to be like the war thing. I'm thinking this is going to be something else. This is going to be either diplomatic or like a domestic thing, I think.
I like that you said overture. That's a really beautiful way of seeing it. Now, I had to write this down because, again, whenever I see those certain numbers at 0, this is what had to be mentioned for Saturday evening. Matt will see it in the chat room pop up there before anybody else sees it.
This is an interesting week. It's a really interesting week.
Right. That's why when I started seeing all the details, I was like, oh, snap, snippity snow. Okay, so that moon in Libra still, but officially squaring off with Pluto at 11:42 at the 0-degree mark.
So we did the squares of Aries with Cancer and Cap. I'm also do the same thing with Libra. So, you look at Cancer and Cap are squared with Libra. So you look again, Libra is nice, diplomatic, indecisive. Cancer wants security. So Cancer doesn't care about, necessarily being diplomatic or kind if it threatens their security. So, the crab can get you with those claws if you get in their way. And then Cap's all about the, achieving things. So they're not going to want to sacrifice goals or put things around just to do things, just to make things nice. We Caps have a rep for kind of being assholes if we need to be. So here in this case, this is where this conflict is. So you have the emotional wanting things nice, squaring with basically shit's going to get done and we don't care how you feel about it. And so I feel like whatever's unfolding over this weekend, there's going to be the kind of utopian pie in the sky, what we're hoping for, and the harsh reality of what's going to happen. Again, I kind of go back to that Tiananmen Square kind of thing. So I'd play on, if the situation that unfolds over this weekend, if there's team optimist and team pessimist, I'd put my money on team pessimist this weekend.
Well, what was funny is the notes are that there's kind of some life change afoot. And at any rate, people are going to run out of their own end of desire and to avoid being one of the people that becomes the beaten dead horse, so to speak. So that inclination to beat a dead horse and use repeated force to no avail is going to be self-defeating, self-depleting. And so, although tempting, because easy, when in doubt, let others waste their efforts this weekend.
I'll go, I don't know if this is going to be the weekend it happens, but I'm going back to our yearly prediction shows where I said I thought it was going to be in January. It didn't happen yet. I thought something was going to happen on the world stage that has the U.S. do a complete 180, and we're all like, screw y'all, take care of yourselves, and we become completely internally focused.
Well, I want to just
and if that does happen, I'll just say the folks that are saying this will be a great thing, and then, like I said, whatever plays out, the folks that are saying this is going to be great are going to be wrong. Whatever that is.
Look at this. Saturday PM. Look at this. Look at this. Scorpio vibes rising as the moon squares off with Mercury in Aquarius.
Okay, so you got to help me with the Scorpio vibes.
I believe when I was looking at that, you've got the moon at that evening is at that point as Saturday evening moves, it's now in Scorpio.
Oh, moon and Scorpio square Mercury and Aquarius. Gotcha. I gotcha.
The moon is like cusp on that spot.
Yeah. So now moon and Scorpio, that's again, you're moving from being diplomatic to kind of wanting to execute your agenda, but keep a very good poker face on it. And it has a conflict with thoughts and communication in the kind of this innovative, revolutionary space. So I feel like, Yeah, this is where it's going to start turning, where people don't mean what they're saying. And this change that's coming, there are people that are just saying it to move things along. They're not invested in it. And they're going to like kind of backstab it.
Yeah. I put that I was hearing Rumor Has It by Adele. Rumor has it. Rumor and air twists. Air twists that what feels right may be impractical or misleading, but take a second look and do not believe all that you hear or say.
Or I like what Steph said here about like the shadow side. It makes me think about this too, that there's an alternate agenda to this change that's coming. And so, the change is going to get sold as one thing, but it's going to be a means to an end of doing something much darker.
Power grab happening on Saturday night.
Just to really pay attention. There'll be some hints leading up to Saturday, some big like hints as to what's going to play out for the next couple months.
Yes, it is. Next couple months hits us on that Saturday morning. So then we wake up. What's going to happen? Sunday. Put 2 to 3 dots down. Here we go. Sunday, we wake up and it's a waning moon officially in Scorpio. So moon in Scorpio.
The best thing about Sunday is the Super Bowl, in which we get the nice thing of that we're on opposite sides of this. Both
Kansas
our
City.
teams face off.
Yeah, I'm loving Kansas City. I'm super excited to have it happen, and I'll be there visiting my dad. So hopefully we'll have some barbecue and it'll be good times. Anytime, and that's great because my dad, I believe, I've not done his full birth chart actually, which shame on me. He's a Scorpio, and I believe his moon is a Scorpio too. I think he's a Scorpio stellium. So knowing that, for any of you guys who have a moon in Scorpio, this is a great time for you. You're going to be feeling magical. Mm-hmm. You're going to be feeling heavy-handed. You're going to be feeling cryptical hidden agendas, and that's just where you like to be. So rockin'.
Scorpio, one of the 2 most intense signs, and Scorpio is emotional intensity. And so you got the moon, which is emotion, in the most emotionally intense sign. So I will say Sunday, emotions will be running high. Emotions will be intense. One of these days that I warn people, this is not a day to have a real sensitive conversation with somebody if it's an uncomfortable one, because their emotions are going to be running high and be intense, and they'll have a much more emotional reaction than you probably want, depending on the talk. But obviously, if it's something that you're afraid of a negative emotional reaction, I would avoid it.
And I'm going to go back to sharing for those of you joining us live on the Paranormal channel or on our Astrology and Alchemy spaces. I'm going to share my screen again. Share that screen. And I'm going to go to the Astrology on Sunday. That's the 12th. So we kick over to the 12th. Okay. Look at this. So all we have is the moon.
Let's take down the.
What?
I took down the banner.
Okay, good. So you got the moon over here in Scorpio, just the lone moon. And then look at how heavy this is over here. Look at how heavy this is, guys, where you've got Mercury and Pluto hanging out. You got the sun and Saturn in the same kind of alignment together. You've got Venus and Neptune hanging out. You've got Jupiter over here. You've got Uranus over here. You've got Mars over here. These are just a all really heavy on this particular side, playing off with lone Luna over here that creates that heavy-handed emotional space that the Farmer's Almanac wanted to say. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Aries, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, all tipped in kind of a together movement and like a stepping stone, like transitional spaces together. It's going to be pretty.
Yeah, I think they call that a basket or an umbrella. There's different patterns that mean different things in your birth charts. I'm not going to speak to them exactly. I don't visit it enough to say that I would get it right, as in the 4 quadrants have different meanings too when it's weighted really heavy in certain quadrants. But so there's definitely a meaning to this kind of one by itself and everybody clustered on the other side of it. So
well, and unfortunately, the last time that we had this particular lineup in this particular way was when we were having major earthquakes in the late 1930s in areas that we're seeing some of the earthquakes happening now.
oh wow, okay.
So there's some really strange things with just the shaking, the like water and magma shaking, the ripples of choppy waters, and this like chill, ice, emotional, like a shivering or a goosebump of the skin on the earth's surface and the crust kind of cracking over as it moves in some of these mood swings. I expect that to happen on Sunday night for real, on a small scale and a big scale.
Makes sense.
Right. So then we're coming up to the end of the show, guys, and we've got kind of a heavy Monday and kind of a crazy Tuesday. So let's try and hurry here. Wow. I'm sorry. I should have been speaking a little bit quicker there. But so Monday, the 13th, the big thing we're going to have is the moon in Scorpio trine Venus and Neptune in a Pisces space. So how do you feel about that?
So you still have this kind of deception in the romance space, or self-sacrifice in the romance space. And since the moon is in Scorpio, and trying a synergy, you're having this emotional intensity. Now getting synergy with this kind of deceptive. So it's either misreading a romantic thing and having a lot of emotional intensity to it, or cutting somebody loose and moving on with that heavy, the feelings are going to be running high though. And you're getting up onto Valentine's Day. So I have a feeling there's going to be some pieces with that into it too. It's going to be, that theme is going to be all over the place. And so it's going to hurt. It's going to weigh heavily emotionally on folks.
Oh, that's sad. It is. And I do kind of feel that too. So you've got 2 things happening with the moon and Scorpio next that are significant. And I'm going to kind of put these down so that we can hit all of the stuff that's happening. Wow. And yes, it's going to be just like that. It's okay.
The Chihuahuas aren't happy.
Opposite Mars and Gemini, guys. I know I spelled this wrong, so I'm going to fix it really quick. So this is Monday night. You're going to have the moon in Scorpio squaring off with the sun in Aquarius, opposite Mars and Gemini. So some kind of wild themes that I think are probably going to play out with face-off challenges. I put money talks, 8 balls, but like what that can mean in all the different areas, like being aware of your vessel, your body awareness, your autonomy, like face off with freaking John Travolta. What do you get though? What do you see?
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to yell. No, they just calmed down. I was getting really annoyed at my dogs. He's going to start yelling. All right. So a couple things here. So you got, again, this is emotional intensity. So there's a lot of Scorpio stuff here. The square is kind of a conflict with Sun and Aquarius. So this is, again, those changes. So there's going to be emotion, either discomfort with these changes that are coming over the weekend. So again, really pay attention. I think this is going to be a interesting weekend. I know this is getting into Monday, and then Mars in Gemini Mars is action. Gemini is kind of making a decision. Which way do I go? Kind of two-faced. So I think there's some emotional intensity there as to which way do things go. So I'm still playing along the whole line of this. There's some change being proposed, but there's double dealing going on. And so just really pay attention. There's going to be a lot of, I feel like, James Bond crap unfolding over the weekend.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And then in the last minute or two of the show, very quickly, and I'll put in the chat room all the places to find us and take advantage of that compatibility reading for $88. Do it. You know you want to. But Tuesday, Valentine's Day, the one big movement that you want to pay attention to, and guys, please do it. Put this dot down. If you only have one dot, put this one down. Valentine's Day is going to be that moon in Sagittarius. That's on fire, baby. Trine Jupiter in Aries. That's on fire, baby. That's a lot of fire.
Yeah, emotional. Sagittarius is the explorer, so exploring, trying new things, doing new things. Jupiter's opportunity. Aries is impulsive, so this is a day of emotional action and opportunity. So that can translate. I think because it's Valentine's Day, people look at it in that way, but this could be a lot of different things. This is just, you're going to have a emotional kind of tailwind. Sure, why not? With opportunity being sure, why not? So if you don't want to stumble into something you don't want to do, be disciplined on Tuesday, because you're going to get that energetic push to just go ahead and try it.
Don't want to run across coals and have a pig roast. Don't go to the luau. Know what I'm saying? Because crazy things could happen in the night of the moon. And that's what's going to be happening on Valentine's Day, guys. Some crazy things afoot, a lot of ripples in the water. Be careful out there. If you want some specific guidance, reach out to us at mslosier@yahoo.com or paranormalsarah.com, or wherever you're watching the show right now. Reach out and check in with us. Get that reading special and let us know how we can guide you specifically. Otherwise, we're going to see you next Tuesday.
Sounds good.
All right,
Talk to you all. We're going to go back and do the little video thing here. All right. Have a great week.
Bye.